Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me. It's our second live broadcast here, and I will be coming here every Wednesday at 12:30 Pacific Standard Time. So this week we're going to be talking about sugar cravings and sugar. Sorry, these are a little distracting. They're dirty and all sorts of glares. Okay, so let's get started. I want to talk to you guys about sugar cravings because that is a huge issue for a lot of the moms that I work with, including myself. We love sugar. We want to have it. We don't want to stop having it. But we need to figure out a way to make sure that it is working within our healthy lifestyle. The problem with sugar's not bad. Sugar's awesome. It tastes great. It helps you feel awesome. So we don't want to take it out. And I'm a firm believer in no all or nothing dieting. But we do need to kind of figure out why we're having cravings, how we can control them, when is a good time to have sugar, and when are times that we should probably try to listen to maybe more reasoning. And really, it's all about just getting you back in the driver's seat, right? So that when that cookie comes up to you, you're eating it because you want to be eating it. You don't eat it and then feel guilty and then feel like you've just ruined all of your hard work. What I hope for all of you is to help you feel a little bit more in control and feel proud of the choices that you're making. There's so much guilt already in motherhood and so much stress and wondering if what we're doing is right, that we don't need to also feel that way about the way we treat our own bodies. We want to feel empowered and we want to feel in control. We want to feel happy and proud of the choices that we're making. So that's what this is all about. And that's what Savage Wellness is all about. But let's get started with sugar. So sugar cravings for me came on really in motherhood. I was not somebody who really had a sweet tooth. Obviously, I like eating candy. If you put it in my face, I love a good cookie. Ice cream is delicious, but it wasn't something I ever felt like I needed or craved. And when I became a mom, I was a sugar monster, and I attributed it a lot to breastfeeding, and I think that is very valid. But a lot of it has so much to do with our physiological response to stress, to fatigue, and to feeling our adrenal glands totally depleted. What happens in nature is we are given a very powerful set of tools to help us survive. That's why we are who we are, and that's why we've made it this far. We've evolved because of our physiology and because of how we're designed. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Nancy. Thanks for joining me. So as we are working on our nutrition, it's impossible to ignore our physiological responses that have kept us alive for thousands of years. One of those is a stress response, which releases cortisol into our bodies. Cortisol is a very powerful hormone that makes us feel things and think things and crave things. And it really is triggers a fight or flight response, where we can almost turn off part of our brain that involves reasoning, and our body just kind of takes over and says, this is what you need right now. And what do we need as moms? We are tired. We are super, super tired, especially in the beginning. And so our bodies need energy. And our bodies are telling us hey, you got to get me some energy. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling depleted. And our brains kind of turn off, and our body just says, get me some energy. And energy is calories, as we know, and a quick source of energy is sugar. So our body craves sugar, and that's what our body really wants. And it's a very powerful urge. And so to tell yourself, I'm just going to fight that urge and not have sugar, that is not really going to work, or at least for not a very long period of time. So what we want to do is kind of regain control over that urge, and we want to stop that urge, right? And so that we are not being compelled to do things that we maybe don't want to be doing, or we realize after the fact, hey, I didn't really make that choice. That was just my body reacting. And in the moment, it felt right. And now it doesn't. I don't feel good. I feel tired. I feel disappointed in my choice. And that's not a good feeling. And I don't want you to feel that way, because you are awesome. You guys, this is so funny. I have this shark blanket behind me. I should probably take that down. It's totally distracting me. So that's a lot of what we're going to talk about today. How to get away from that compulsion, right? And put yourself in a position where you can make a choice and you can say, you know what? I'm going to eat sugar now because I want to, because I thought about it, because I'm being mindful. I went through the thought process. And we'll get into kind of a mindfulness-based approach to sugar and nutrition a little bit later in this talk. But let's start off by talking about what is sugar. Sugar is a sweetener. It's quick energy, often refined and processed. So there are healthy sugars out there that are agave syrup, maple syrup, any syrup, honey. All of those things are still sugar. Are they healthier? I guess so, because oftentimes they're less processed. And if you've been following me for a while or working with me at all, you know that we try to stay away from processed foods as much as possible. Not totally, but as much as we can control it. So identifying what is sugar, it is sugar. Anything sweet, any sweetener that you are adding to your food, that is added sugar that you've got to start thinking about. What is this doing to my body? Do I need this extra sugar? Oftentimes it's in coffee. A lot of people love to sweeten up their coffee, so that's a place that we address, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Other things that contain sugar are overly processed foods, especially simple carbohydrates. So that would be white breads, flours, white rice, crackers, chips, made out of potatoes, which are just kind of a starchy vegetable that boost your blood sugar. And so your body reacts the same to those. So it may not be sweets that you're craving. Maybe you're craving chips and hamburgers and sandwiches. But that is still your body craving sugar. And that is something that we can still regain control over. So even if you're sitting here listening and saying, you know what, I don't have a sweet tooth. I don't need this stuff, but I do have issues with other foods that I feel compelled to eat. Think about, what is it? What is it that you're eating? Is it overly processed? Is it full of simple carbohydrates? Regardless of whether it is sweet, it is still something that we can address with all of this. So let's get into sort of that control issue. Where are these cravings coming from? Yes, Terry, it's wine too. Alcohol definitely has sugar in it, and that's a big component of alcohol. And we're definitely going to get into wine in here too, because that is super common. And as we get started, let's talk about when are we craving? What kind of person are you? And that is, you know, it's not an all or nothing approach, or it's not an all-in-one approach for everybody. So you also have to think about, who am I? Where are my cravings coming from? If you're consistently craving sugar at 3 p.m. or after the kids go to bed or first thing in the morning, mid-morning, those are all times where you want to address your lifestyle. There is something you are doing that is triggering that response. Often it's fatigue. So the first place I like to look is, how's your sleep? I have a wonderful sleep consultant, Dr. Sarah Mitchell, who can help you if it's your kids that are keeping you up. Getting your sleep on track, creating a healthy bedtime routine, getting your kids to sleep, those are all things that will really help your health and happiness and wellness, as well as your kids. They need to understand how to sleep. You're giving them a gift by teaching them how to sleep, how to put themselves back to sleep, how to not need you. And that's a gift that you're giving them. And giving them more sleep is a gift that you're giving them for their life and to help them navigate. So don't feel bad. Kids can sleep. So if you're having trouble with your kids sleeping, definitely reach out to Sarah or any sleep consultant. But also for yourself, create that bedtime routine. I have a lot of tips on that, and that will probably be another live down the road. But check out your sleep if you're consistently feeling like a sugar craving at certain times of day. The other thing you want to look at is like, what are your breakfasts like? Maybe you're getting really hungry around 11:30. Maybe you're having a little bit too much simple carbohydrates for your breakfast. So I like to focus a breakfast a lot around protein. And not necessarily meaning you have to have a ton of protein, but it needs to be balanced more on the protein side, less sugars. So yogurt and maybe just a drizzle of honey rather than like a flavored yogurt. And adding in some nuts and some seeds to that yogurt is a great way to really bulk up those satiating nutrients that are going to sit in your belly and not cause your blood sugar to spike. And then, let's see, maybe you're just somebody who craves a sweet. You see one in front of you and you're like, oh God, that candy on my accountant's desk looks delicious. I reference that a lot because my accountant has good candy on his desk and I'm always like, I want to eat that. Or somebody brings in cookies to the office and you don't really want one, but you see it and you're like, you know what? I really want that. That sounds really good right now. Or maybe just all day, you're tired, you want some sugar. That's another issue, less so than that sort of consistent time, just to kind of want sugar all day or to be really compelled to eat it when it's right in front of you. And for that, the tricks that I have in place are kind of centered around what's going to help create a more mindful approach, so that instead of just randomly grabbing it because it's there and because you're hungry and because your body says, you know what, that sounds good, think through it for a second. So the first place I like to start is have some water. If you're trying to control your sugar and you know that you're just reaching for it willy-nilly, the kids have sugar often, and then you're just cleaning up after them, might as well pop that in my mouth. Give yourself a rule. Say, before I eat anything, I'm going to have some water. And especially if it's something that is just sitting in front of me. Have a glass of water. That will not only keep you hydrated, it will help you feel more hydrated, for lack of a better word or description. It'll help you feel, because sometimes you're craving that food because you're hungry or you're thirsty. And so drinking water keeps you hydrated and also keeps you mindful. So it gives you time to stop and think, do I really want this? Do I really want this handful of candy? So that's a great trick, drinking water. The next trick is to have something healthy first and to say, okay, so-and-so Susie brought in cookies to the office today. I don't really want one, but they really look delicious. And I am kind of hungry. Should I have one of those? And maybe you decide, I'm not sure. But I don't think I want it, but I am not sure because it is delicious. Have something healthy first. Eat, like a nice yogurt snack or a cheese stick or something that will actually get rid of your hunger, a hard-boiled egg, or maybe you have your lunch and then say, okay, I'll have this cookie after I have my lunch. And maybe then you have half a cookie. But given that will take away that need for hunger, right? That will take away like, I'm just hungry, I want this. And it will help put you back into a place where you can make a decision, not based on an urge, a powerful urge, but based on, do I want this? Is this what I want to eat right now? And if that answer is yes, then you get to do that and you get to enjoy it and feel awesome about it and not feel guilty. So that kind of goes in the same vein as like just sugar as a temptation. So sugar as a temptation would be something where it just kind of pops up in front of you. You don't really crave it and you're not really compelled to eat it, but like everybody else is eating it and it does look fun, and you don't want to be that person that's like, no, I don't want to have cake right now, or I don't want to have drinks with dinner because I'm on a diet, but all my friends are, and now I feel kind of left out. So the way that I like to work with those situations is called the 3-bite rule. And I know somebody invented it, and I just can't for the life of me find out who to reference for you guys. But the 3-bite rule is awesome. And that is one where it's science, you guys. So it comes from fine dining, where you have like little small plates of things, because all your palate really needs to enjoy a food is 3 bites of it. Anything more is greedy. So if you're not hungry, if you're not compelled, but you just want to partake in like a nice, delicious snack, or you see, the jar of Nutella is on the counter and you just made your kids sandwiches and you're like, you know what, I just want some. I know I might eat the whole thing though. Give yourself the 3-bite rule. 1 bite to say hello, 1 bite to savor it, and then 1 bite to say goodbye. And that's a great way to just kind of stay in control, still feel like you're allowing yourself those treats and you're not totally restricted. And you can tell yourself, you know what, I don't need more. My body doesn't need more. My palate doesn't need more. I've enjoyed this treat and now I can move on. So those are sort of like the 4 overarching ways, or the 3 overarching ways that we kind of approach sugar. Kind of a consistent craving, somebody who just has a sweet tooth, or when it just pops up right in front of you. And those are my tips for those situations. So hopefully one of those kind of resonates with you. And overall, as you sort of start to find the tips that work for you, creating the mindfulness around it is really what we're going for. And what that means is creating a way for you to be able to say, you know what, here's what's happening in my life. Here's the food in front of me. I am in control. I'm making a choice. Is this part of my plan today? Is this something that I want to celebrate at the end of the day, that delicious cookie that I had? Or is it something that's going to make me feel bad? Think through all of the ways that this is going to affect you. If I have this cookie now, is it going to make me tired later today? If so, but I do want that cookie, maybe I'll save that cookie for later today and I'll take it and I'll put it in my purse. And after the kids go down, that's when I'll have it. So creating a mindfulness around your choices is really what we're going for, so that you can feel like you are in control and that you understand the consequences. Not consequences being a bad thing, but what is this doing to your body and what will it do for your day going forward? So if your day is going to be, you've got a lot to do, you've got a lot to focus on, you want to feel really clear-headed, maybe that cookie at 10 a.m. is not a great idea. Maybe it will throw you off. Maybe adding it in to your lunch so that it's kind of surrounded by a nice healthy meal full of protein will be better, or maybe saving it for the end of the day. So that's all stuff that you can feel in control of. And my goal with Savage Wellness is to teach you how to coach yourself. You shouldn't have to need me forever and ever and ever. I mean, I'm here for you as long as you need, but I want to teach you how to do this, how to create that thought process so that you don't need to be texting me or looking at blogs to try to figure out how to manage your healthy lifestyle. You can do this and you can create those habits for yourself in a way that feels really good for you. So let's get into, before we wrap up, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the trouble spots that we have. I posted a question out there in a couple groups and I got some really great responses from what are people's places that they really struggle. One of those is coffee. So if you're like me, and most moms love caffeine, we love coffee. I love coffee. Thankfully, I love black coffee. So I don't really have to worry about added sugars and creams and all that stuff when I drink my coffee. I don't even really like it with stuff added. I love black coffee. But a lot of people love a nice creamy, sweet coffee. If that is your issue, consider taking about half of everything that you're putting into it out. So say you're putting in, like a quarter of a cup of creamer. Maybe cut that down to an eighth of a cup of creamer. Or maybe take some whole milk or some organic cream, a little splash of that, and then add in a little bit of sugars yourself so you can really manage how much you're putting in your body, and just be aware of what is the sugar content that I'm putting in. So when you go to Starbucks, don't get their sweetener, add in your own, add in, a packet of sugar. Or if you already are getting, if you need that, and if that's what you get, maybe that's your treat once a week, or maybe it is your daily treat. No judgment here. Maybe they're putting in 4 pumps, ask them for 2. Maybe they're putting in 2, ask them for 1. So try to just be conscious of the amount of sugar that you're getting as you take in your coffee. So that's my recommendation for that. Don't cut it out. Don't make it a thing. Don't make it something that you or feel guilty of, but you feel like you have to have. Find a way to make it something where you feel comfortable. Like, okay, I'm okay with this level. And I'm happy to talk to anybody about like specifics on that individually. The next place, as Terry pointed out, is booze. A lot of moms love their booze and they don't want to give it up. And for me, I'm somebody who says, save your sweets and treats till the end of the day. So, I mean, hopefully you're not having your wine in the beginning of the day. If so, maybe we should talk about that. That's a whole different thing. But having a drink at the end of the night, that's okay. Your blood sugar, even if it spikes a little bit, it's not going to be too bad. What I usually say then is try to wait till after the kids go to bed, because then you're out of that chaos and that sort of like, oh my God, mommy needs some wine right now. And you are just relaxing and enjoying it. So I try to have like some kombucha or a bubbly water or something that makes me feel like I'm treating myself when I'm putting the kids down and doing their dinner. And then I save my glass of wine or my cocktail or whatever I want to have that night for after the kids go to bed. And often, if you're somebody who's trying to not drink as much, often I don't even want a drink once I put the kids to bed. So I'll be looking forward to it and I'll say, okay, I'm going to have that glass of wine. And then I think, you know what, actually, I don't even want it right now. So then I skip it altogether. But if I do want it, I know that I get to sit and enjoy it. And that feels really good. And I don't end up drinking more than I would have liked. So that's sort of the booze. And on the weekends, if you're going to have more than one, or even during the week, if you have more than one, drink some water in between it. So like a full glass of bubbly water, because you drink it a little slower, is a great way to kind of manage your intake and to still feel good. Let's see, rewards. So often we use a soda or some candy or a drink or a cookie as a reward. And that is, you know, it's something we've grown up with, and that's another physiological response, right? We feel good when we have a full belly, comfort eating, and a sugar rush. Our body's response to that is good. We release endorphins and serotonin, or technically, I'm not sure exactly what we release, but all the feel-goody stuff. And that's for a reason too, because our bodies, back in the day before that stuff was readily available, that's what helped us feel safe and protected and good. So those rewards are there for a reason. And I don't think that that's necessarily bad. But again, that gets back to the mindfulness. So taking that and saying, okay, I've gotten rid of the compulsion. I don't need sugar right now because I've gone through my 3 steps of cravings and temptations. But I still do like to treat myself with a sweet. And sometimes I do too. You know, I'll treat myself to a foot massage or maybe like a nap or listening to a podcast. But I'll also treat myself with food because I love food and I love delicious, yummy, indulgent food. And I think that's okay. But creating that mindfulness around it. How is this going to make me feel? Is this a good time of day to have it? How will I feel after I have it? Is this going to help me with my goals? And what do I have in place? So maybe sometimes what I do, if I really want something and I know it's just not really worked into my day, is I'll make myself do something healthy that I wasn't going to do ordinarily and say, okay, Shannon, if you want that milkshake with your kids, let's go for a run first, or maybe we'll walk to the milkshake store at least. Even that is something, right? So getting yourself to do something that is healthy. And again, that creates mindfulness around it. And it creates a way for you to feel comfortable with the choices that you're making and proud of the decisions. And for you to feel like, you know what, I'm in control. I thought of this. I made this walk happen. I got in this little workout. Or I had like a super healthy lunch when maybe I wasn't going to, but because I'm going to have a milkshake later, I'll eat a healthier lunch than I would have. So creating those thought patterns and processes that help you feel like you can still treat yourself with food, because that's important too. And what we're really going for is like, we don't want to feel deprived. This whole thing, feeling healthy, feeling good, feeling savage well, is about feeling awesome. It's not about punitive choices and feeling like, oh, I have to suck it up and get to my workouts and eat boiled chicken and kale. It's about regaining control and pride and a healthy lifestyle that helps us feel good and feel like we are crushing it. We're crushing it for ourselves and for our families, and we're going to be living a longer, happier life as we do that. And that's what we're going for. So adding in deprivation and adding in like food that's off limits and it's bad, calling sugar bad, saying you can't have that. For most of us, it creates stress, and that just builds up cortisol, and that doesn't teach our bodies how not to grab it when it's right in front of us. It just says, nope, off limits. And then in that moment of weakness, you grab it, and then you feel guilty and you feel stressed out and you feel like you've failed yourself. And we don't want that. And you haven't taught yourself how to coach yourself through it. And so that's what we're going for with this approach. So hopefully you guys learned some stuff here for your sugar cravings. And I do so hope that you'll join me this month in the Savage Wellness Virtual Gym. We've got a really cool challenge coming up for September. We're going to be doing some goal setting. We're going to set some small goals for September and work on things every day, cheer each other on, and just start getting consistent and start prioritizing ourselves. Because right now, for me at least, with school starting and just getting back into more of a routine, less sort of vacations and lazy days with the kids, I really need to make sure that I'm sticking to some sort of accountability and some way for me to make sure that I am still progressing and moving forward. So we've got our daily goal challenge coming up in September, and I really hope you'll join me for that. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and I will look forward to seeing you here next week. Thanks, guys.